Madison Cawthorn, the Republican congressman from North Carolina, he is now calling for a holy war. He recently spoke to Christian conservatives in North Carolina and posted the video of his remarks with some images overlaid and edited in. Watch.
I feel a spiritual battle going on Capitol Hill. The only way that we take our country back is when strong, God-fearing patriots decide it is time for us to stand up and say no to your tyranny. Now is a time for our pastors and our congregations, like this one here, like many of you that you represent. It's time for us to stand up and declare boldly that as men and women of faith, we have a duty to stand against tyranny. We have a duty to be civically involved. We have a duty to save this country for the next generation. Back into the Old Testament. Look at David, look at Daniel, look at Esther. Look at all of these people who influenced the governments of their day to uphold Christian principles.
Anybody want to tell him? Anybody? Well, Madison Cawthorn, clearly not the best and brightest. As Daily Kos wrote, even one who isn't Christian knows that no one in the Old Testament was fighting to uphold Christian principles. Christ wasn't even born at the time of the Old Testament, which is based on the Hebrew Bible or the Torah. Jack, I'm just, this one, look, you want to call for a holy war, you want to call for a spiritual awakening, that's fine, but you at least have to have some credibility on the most basic facts about the Bible.
Yeah, who are we taking the country over for? Is it the folks in the Old Testament, the folks in the New Testament? I think he's got to make up his mind. And guys, if you're not convinced yet of how absurd that statement was, and we'll get back to the fact that it's dangerous, which is the more relevant part of this conversation. But let's keep making fun of Cawthorn for one more second. Muslims believe that the Quran is the third book. They think Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran. So a lot of you might not know this. It's not often talked about in the press in America, but Muslims believe that Jesus was a prophet of Allah, God. Allah just means God. And they also believe in Moses, Abraham, and they think that Muhammad is in that lineage. So it would be like a Muslim preacher or politician coming on and saying, look, Jesus and Moses and all these people were obviously trying to uphold Muslim principles. Well, okay, they might be in the same lineage, but they certainly wouldn't be upholding Muslim principles because Islam did not yet exist, even if you believe in Islam, right? So it's just absurd and it's comically wrong. But probably, I don't know that anybody in the audience even recognized it. Because look, let's be honest, evangelical Christians don't even read the Bible. They just take whatever hatred the preacher says and they run with it. If they read the Bible, they would know that Jesus was not in favor of the rich. He said the rich have no chance of getting into heaven. That a camel has a better chance of passing through the eye of a needle, and I can go on and on. If they actually read the Bible, these right-wing evangelicals would be the most progressive socialists in the country. Read your own Bible. Okay, now to the dangerous part. Look, David, when you start talking about holy war, and he's saying we got to take the country back for Christianity, that's a bigger misunderstanding, if you can call it that, right? No, the Constitution clearly says we shall not establish a religion. In fact, it was revolutionary, literally revolutionary, that the founders of America were the first country to say, no, we will not be ruled by any religion. And that's why America was so interesting, so different, and arguably the shining city on a hill with all of its blemishes. It still said, we're all gonna get along here. Whether you're Jewish, Christian, different sects of Christianity, which is so important. And they even said the Mohammedans, that's what they used to call Muslims. Anyone could be an American, that's why America's such a great idea. But now the modern day, Christian Taliban or whatever you wanna call them, the Cawthorns of the world say, nah, we don't like the Constitution. Constitution's no good. Let's be a theocracy like in the bad old days and pick one of the sects of Christianity. I'm not sure which one, maybe the Jewish one. Maybe we go back to the Old Testament and we'll make them the rulers of the rest of us.
And I mean, to me, Cenk, I'm constantly shocked that a guy like Madison Cawthorn, which obviously he's got no shame, but also the groups that continually invite him to speak, given the mistakes like this that he makes. I mean, and oh, by the way, you mentioned, well, evangelical Christians don't really read the Bible, otherwise they would be democratic socialists. Well, clearly they also don't read newspapers, because Madison Cawthorn has been alleged repeatedly to have essentially engaged in sexual harassment of several women. So it's not as if he's actually living a Christian life according to these women. And again, this idea that Christianity and that Christians have somehow remained in the shadows in the United States, as he says, it is simply absurd. And then when he talks about, well, certain principles are being threatened. Well, what principles are being threatened? Vaccines? Science? Yeah, I would argue, sure, science and basic facts, truth, that is being threatened thanks to people like Madison Cawthorn and these crazies on the right who give them these platforms.
Yeah, look, I grew up a secular Muslim. I'm now atheist, but we believed that Islam should not rule Turkey, where I'm from. And luckily it doesn't, although Erdogan has now headed in that direction. And we fight against that because we've seen how that movie plays out. When one religion rules everyone else, it doesn't rule based on logic or science. It rules based on, at a best case scenario, all rules from 2,000 years ago. In a worst case scenario, it's all an excuse for authoritarian government. Put a strong man in charge, have him oppress everyone else, rob them of their freedom under the guise of religion. That is how it turns out every single time. And so, no, we're not gonna go back to those days. And him calling for this kind of holy war is outrageous. But unfortunately, for the right wing, they don't think it's outrageous at all. I think a giant percentage of them actually believe that we are a theocracy, that we should be ruled by Christianity. Now, I don't think anyone's ever thought through which sect. Should it be the Episcopalians, the Lutherans, the evangelicals, the Catholics? The only people who thought it through are the evangelicals who are like, yeah, it's us, we rule, not any of the rest of you. That's because they're not interested in God or holiness or Christianity. They're interested in raw power. And look, if they were, David, I mean, you talk about his ignorance of his own religion, but and his hypocrisy towards that religion with the accusations against him. But look at who right-wing evangelicals love in this country. Donald Trump, guy who slept with multiple porn stars while he was married to his, third wife? I honestly lost track. Yes, third wife, okay? And it bragged about sexual assaults, and then goes in front of a religious audience and goes, yeah, I like the 2 Corinthians. No, that's not how they referred to Corinth. And everybody's like awkward, and he's like, and he looks at the crowd and he's like, what? Isn't that how you say it? It's so obvious. He doesn't know what's in the Bible. He's never looked at it in his life. He's never gone to church. He doesn't care about Christianity at all. You're praying to a false prophet. He's almost a literal golden calf. He's not a calf, but if he could, he would certainly create a golden calf and call it Trump calf, right? And this so-called billionaire that brags about his golden palaces is the guy that you're praying to. It is the exact opposite of what Jesus preached. So I'm not at all surprised that Cawthorn is not called out by the right wing. They have no idea what's in the Bible. They have no idea what Jesus stood for. So when this jackass says, let's ruin America, destroy what it stands for, and turn it into a religious cult like the Taliban did in Afghanistan, Republicans cheer. They stand up and go, yes, our version of the Taliban is awesome. Screw America and its secular nature is not establishing a religion. I don't know what the founding fathers were thinking. Burn the Constitution, let's get ruled by the Bible, whichever one we make up.
And sadly, I mean, the polling is also moving in that direction, right? I mean, polls show that a growing number of Republicans now support using violence to force Donald Trump back into office if necessary. A majority believe that the election was stolen. And I think, Cenk, if you polled people and they were honest about it, I think if you gave them a choice between, okay, do you want a democracy where sometimes you'll win, sometimes you lose, or do you want to force your religious views and your political views down everybody's throats no matter what? most Republicans, I'm convinced, would choose the latter. They would be happy to have a theocracy where their willpower is forced down everybody else. And that's why I get so freaked out over, January 6th would be a hell of a lot different if Republicans had control of the House and the Senate on that day. Would the Democrats have been able to get Joe Biden certified? I sometimes wonder, and I certainly think that won't be the case in 2024 if Democrats don't have a majority in the House and Senate. I can see Republicans marching in lockstep saying, nope, we're gonna deny democracy because we want our guy to win, and that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah, look, honestly, this was among the things that separates TYT from the rest of the media. Because the mainstream media would be scared to death to actually quote the Bible to you. Jesus said, give away all of your worldly possessions and follow me. What is the exact opposite of capitalism? The exact opposite of capitalism. By the way, I don't agree with Jesus. I'm an atheist and I don't want to give away my worldly possessions. I'm not anywhere near as progressive as Jesus. But they won't ever say it, and they play patty cakes with these guys. Oh, they said the magic word, religion, Christianity, run. Don't ever challenge them on any of this. No, the media needs to be honest and clear. In the Constitution, it very clearly says, we shall not establish a religion, and there shall be no religious tests for office in this country. Say it loud and say it proud. Don't be afraid of being right. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.